Now, to a new report that came out from Wallet Hub this week on financial literacy and where Washington falls in relation to other states for how our high school graduates are doing in that regard. Can they balance a checkbook? Do they know what credit card interest is, and how debt compiles? Well, the answer is not so much because currently Washington does not require, although some districts have adopted financial literacy education, but we don't require it as a graduation requirement, although many states do. So here is Chip Lupo with Wallet Hub kind of breaking that down for you.
The states that do well in it have a requirement, an actual graduation requirement for students to take at least a personal finance course, at least one economics course, standard or at least require standardized testing of personal finance concepts or economic concepts. And Washington has none of those. Now, this is not to say that certain school districts in Washington may offer economics or personal finance classes. There is just no requirement for them to take one in order to graduate. And that shows in the fact that Washington is 43rd in the share of public high school students who are guaranteed to take at least one semester course in personal finance for graduation, 2.7%. But most of your personal finance courses would involve simply how to balance a checkbook, how interest works, how credit cards will work, and how the interest on credit cards is different from other types of interest, and the different types of interest rates and bank accounts that are available out there. And some may get a little bit into simple investing, whether it's investing in CDs or how to play the stock market, but those are probably a little bit more advanced. But again, those do vary on the states. But at the bare minimum, you're going to get in a personal finance course basically how to balance a checkbook and how interest works, how mortgage works, and oftentimes some tips on how to get out of debt. So I do find it kind of interesting that most of these states that are business friendly states are also the states that do well in terms of introducing budgeting education in their curriculums.
Part of this report from Wallet Hub found that 9 in 10 Americans believe that, budgeting and financial literacy should absolutely be taught in American high schools. Yet he said 17 out of 50 states, only 17 out of 50 states got their A rating. And to have an A rating, you had to have, you complete a standalone personal finance course and sort of integrate that financial literacy education throughout curriculum. Maybe and some states do it even, going back into elementary grades. Certainly you could teach some basics, even as part of a math course. And Washington State is currently moving in this direction. Unclear how soon it's going to be happening, but had a conversation just before today's podcast with Representative Skylar Rude, Republican out of Walla Walla. He has, for the last 3 years, backed a piece of legislation, House Bill 1285, that is seeking to make it a requirement in high schools. He wanted to give some flexibility, for local districts, local control, a big deal for him, but basically say, okay, figure out a way to integrate this in to your curriculum and make it a graduation requirement. He kind of backed off pushing the bill this year. It was introduced, but it never got a public hearing. And he told me today that is because the Washington Board of Education is currently adopting new graduation requirements. This is something they've been working on for the last couple of years. I think they call it Future Ready. I've listened in on some of those meetings. Some critics say there is maybe in some areas a dumbing down of graduation requirements. That's for another day. But Representative Rude has been assured that financial literacy education is going to be included. He's not sure what that looks like, and the timeline he thinks is unfortunately pushed out a little bit. He's getting an update on Tuesday. So he has promised to let me know after he gets that update from the state education board exactly what that looks like. So you'll know here as soon as I find out on Tuesday, kind of what that is going to look like. But it would have been nice, probably. Many of you, like me, maybe made some of those mistakes when you were young and didn't really pay attention to people who said, don't buy a car when you're 20. Don't get yourself in credit card debt early on in life because it'll come back to bite you, or it'll bite you just very bit over a long period of time. some of that financial literacy education when you're younger might have helped many of us, including Representative Rude, who says he got himself in that same trouble when he was young and he wants to help other young people avoid that. By the way, an early happy birthday to Representative Rude, who turns 40 next week, he said. And he didn't say I had to keep it a secret. Again, he's getting that update on Tuesday, and we'll share it with you